وما أرسلنا قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وموالاه. Today, in Sha Allaah, we're going to start the chapter of the characteristics or the attributes of the letter. In Arabic, it's called Sifat. The chapter of the characteristics of the letters are as important as the chapter of articulation point. There is no difference between them when it comes to importance. Because the characteristics of the letter is what differentiate between the letters that they share the same articulation point. And the chapter of the articulation point would not be complete without the explanation of the characteristics being added to it. The correct application of because the correct application of the characteristics of the letter makes the letter clearer, and it teaches the various timing of the sakin and so on. We're going to go through this in the coming chapters, inshallah. The application of the characteristics is what differentiates between a good reciter and an average reciter, because especially the timing of the sakin and the timing of the letters, because the sifat, it teaches you, for example, the ghunna, this ghunna is longer than this, the sound of this letter is longer than this, and so on. The definition of the sifa, it is the way which a letter is articulated that differentiates it from others. So the purpose of these characteristics is to distinguish the letters that share the same articulation point, or they are close in articulation point. Why do we need the sifat, the characteristics, when we already know the origin articulation of the letter? The answer is the articulation point only provides information as to where the sound of the letter comes out from, the specific place. Here, there, tip of the tongue, back of the tongue, roof of the mouth, middle of the throat, and so on. It gives you just the specific part from corner. Whereas the sifat provides extra information with regards to the characteristics of the letter in order to produce the correct sound, the perfect sound of the letter. Now, the characteristics of the Arabic letters are divided into essential characteristics and conditional characteristics. Majority of the scholars, they say the characteristics of the letters are 17. Some of them added more, and some of them they kept it to 17. So as I said, they are divided into essential and conditional. Essential characteristics are part of the letter and never leaves it. Whether the letter is unvoweled or as shadda, anyhow, the essential characteristics is always with the letter, because without it, without these characteristics, the letter doesn't exist. For example, the letter, let's say the letter Zay, has the characteristics of the apparent, which is al-jahr. Without this, if we pronounce the letter Zay without the apparent, it would not exist. Instead, it will turn into the letter Sin. As the letter Z has the characteristics of the jar, as. If we remove the jar and we replace it with al-hams, it becomes, which is the whisper, it becomes S, and so on. That's why it means essential. That means it is part of the letter. The conditional characteristics are these which are not part of the letter, but instead they are present in sometimes and not present in other times. For example, the clear, the merging, because sometimes we merge, sometimes we don't merge, sometimes we hide, sometimes we don't hide. This is the conditional characteristics. The chapter of the characteristics will be about the essential characteristics. And as I told you, there are 17 according to the majority of the scholars. and some of them they added the characteristics of the ghunna and concealment to the 17 sifat. The essential characteristics are divided into two categories. Essential paired characteristics, which are 10, that means opposite. Essential unpaired characteristics, which there are 7, which has no opposite. So 10 plus 7 is 17 altogether. Now, what is the benefit of knowing the characteristics? There are so many reasons. From them, one is to be able to differentiate between the letters that shares the same articulation point or are close. For example, the letter dha, dhal, tha, they all come out from the same place. Sad, sin, zay, same. Ta, dal, and ta, and same, and so on. 2, knowing the strong letters from the weak ones in order to know where it is allowed to merge and where it is not, because the ruling indicates it is not allowed to merge a strong letter into a weak letter unless the narration it allows it. I mean, this is the way how the recitation came. 3, applying clear pronunciation to the heavy letters and the light letters when they are beside each other in one word or in between word, like wala dallin, so da is elevated, lam is lowered, makhmasa, mim is lowered, sad is elevated, yakhtassu, ta is lowered, and the sad is elevated. So now we're going to start with the characteristics that have opposite. The first one is the whisper. In Arabic is al-hams, and the opposite to it is the apparent, which is al-jahr. The second one is the strong, which is the shidda. The opposite to it is the weak, al-rakhawa. And in between these two characteristics, especially, there is a characteristic is called the in-between. In Arabic is called al-bayniyah. Number 3, the elevated, isti'la. Opposite to it, the lowered, which is istifal. 4th one, the adhesion, which is al-itbaq in Arabic. And the opposite to it is the open, which is infitah. The last one is the fluency, in Arabic al-idhlaq. And the opposite to it is the forbidden, which is al-ismat. This is the 10 characteristics, which inshallah we will go into details next lesson. Until next time, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.